Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dig into an ancient text that honestly feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's this raw, firsthand look at a nation's collapse, a really powerful case study of what happens when the very foundations of a society just start to crack and fall apart. We're jumping right into the ninth chapter of the prophet Jeremiah. So the chapter kicks off with this gut-wrenching cry of pain. This isn't just sadness. He's wishing for an infinite, all-consuming ability to grieve. And that just makes you ask, right? What on earth could bring a person to this place? Well, that's what we're here to find out. You see, Jeremiah's grief, it isn't just him being emotional. It's actually the first major symptom of this deep national sickness that he's being forced to watch. To really get a handle on his pain, we first have to understand the world he was living in. Okay, so you have to picture what's happening. Jeremiah is living through one of the most chaotic periods in his nation's entire history. I mean, look at how quickly this all escalates. There's this brief moment of hope with King Josiah's reforms, but then he's killed. The new superpower, Babylon, rises up, and bam, within just a couple of decades, Jerusalem is completely wiped off the map. This isn't a myth or a story. This is the hard, brutal history that Jeremiah is watching unfold in real time. And this all leads to a concept we could probably call prophetic trauma. See, Jeremiah isn't just mourning the people who have already died. He is pre-mourning. He's grieving for the people who are about to die in the terrible sieges and famines that he sees coming. He's living emotionally in the future, and the weight of knowing what's coming it's crushing him. So this deep grief leads Jeremiah to a pretty startling diagnosis. The sickness that's going to destroy his nation, it's not some external enemy. Nope, it's an internal rot. It's a society that has become completely, utterly saturated with lies. Just think about that metaphor for a second. A bow is a weapon, right? It takes training, it takes tension, it takes intent to use it. What Jeremiah is saying is that in his world, lies aren't just accidental mistakes or little white lies. No, they are prepared, they are aimed, they are deliberately fired to hurt people. It's as simple and as terrifying as that. Language itself has been totally repurposed. Its main job isn't to build connections or share truth anymore. Its function is now to inflict harm, to get an advantage, and to tear other people down. And here's the devastating result. The most basic building blocks of a community are just corroding from the inside out. I mean, the word for supplanter here is actually a play on the name of the patriarch Jacob, which suggests this really deep, foundational kind of betrayal. You can't trust your own family, you can't trust your neighbor, all the bonds are broken. Now, what's really crucial to get here is that this decay isn't random. Jeremiah describes it as a systematic process. First, deceit becomes a learned skill, something you practice. Then, people spend so much energy on it that they are literally exhausted by their own corruption. And finally, it becomes the very air they breathe. Deceit isn't just in the environment, it is the environment. Truth basically becomes a foreign language. And right here, this is the ultimate diagnosis. This isn't about people who've never heard of God. This is an active refusal to know Him. And why? Well, because a society built on a foundation of lies simply cannot survive a relationship with a God of truth. To actually know God would force them to change everything about who they are and how they live. So this refusal, it leads to an unavoidable consequence. But what's so fascinating is that God's response isn't framed as simple anger or rage. It's presented as this sorrowful, painful, and almost reluctant act of purification. The key metaphor here is metallurgy. So think of a metalsmith using intense fire, not to destroy the metal, but to burn away all the worthless stuff, the dross, to reveal the pure silver or gold underneath. That's how this coming judgment is described. The goal isn't just destruction, it's to test and purify through immense heat. And just listen to the tone of this question, which is coming from God Himself. It's not a question of anger, it's a question of anguish. It has this feeling of reluctant necessity, a deep sorrow over what has to be done because the corruption has just gone too deep to ignore. So we've gone from the diagnosis to the response, and now we see the final, devastating outcome. The prophecy shows how this social and moral collapse is going to have real, tangible, devastating results for the nation, and even for the land itself. The prophecy paints this chilling picture of silence, a total ecological collapse that mirrors the social one. Can you imagine a world where the normal sounds of life, people on the road, cattle in the fields, birds in the air, are just gone? And what's wild is, this isn't just poetic language. Archaeology from this exact period confirms a widespread abandonment of the Judean countryside. It really happened. And this is the climax of the prophecy. The great city of Jerusalem will be turned into heaps, literally piles of rubble. And that word dragons, it's referring to jackals, wild desert animals. Civilization is going to be so completely erased that the wilderness is literally going to move in and take over. And that is exactly what happened. In the year 586 BC, the prophecy was fulfilled. The Babylonian army, led by Nebuchadnezzar, finally broke through the walls of Jerusalem after a long, horrible siege. The result was a total, absolute, national collapse. The capital city and its sacred temple were burned to the ground. The towns all around were left empty and desolate. The population was either killed in the fighting or marched off into exile in Babylon. The entire political and religious structure of the nation was just gone. So Jeremiah's prophecy is this stark reminder of a lesson that is absolutely timeless. Judgment doesn't always show up looking like an enemy army on the horizon. Sometimes it starts quietly, in the hearts and on the tongues of ordinary people. It starts when truth itself dies. Because when truth dies, trust is impossible. And when trust collapses, society fractures from the inside out.